Let's see what we got left in the fridge and the freezer. That's about it. It's usually stacked full. Hey folks, Prepper Princess. So I am just going to talk to you guys real. This is going to be somewhat raw. So what I'm doing right now is I am packing up my number 10 cans of preps, and I apologize for the volume, but it is all the way up, okay? And there's not really much I can do about it if your computer's not hearing me. So here's the deal. First of all, do what you can with what you've got, available on my website, prepperprincess.com. So the last couple of videos I've made have been, there's been a lot of comments, and I get it. I totally get it. This is just going to turn into a rant while I pack up my prepping supplies. So I am currently in closing for a house in Fort Mojave, Arizona, for $114,000. It's a foreclosure. It is a 5-bed, 2-bath. I'm sure that you guys can still see it on Zillow as pending. Fingers crossed on that. I do not care anymore if people know where I live. And why is that? Because I plan on doing Airbnb. All right. I do plan on doing that through my YouTube channel and doing it on the Airbnb website. So here's the deal. People are saying Arizona's too hot. You're going to hate it there. It's horrible. Well, there's a lot of different reasons that I chose Arizona. Okay. Number one is my choices are slim. The only places that I could afford to live in California would be pretty much what I have now, except half the size and twice the price. A lot of people said, why don't you buy your brother out? Well, I don't have $365,000 and I only make $39,000 a year. Okay. So I cannot buy him out. That's not something that I can do, or that I would do if it were offered to me. I stayed in this house after my mother passed away. I paid it off, as you know. I've been making renovations the entire time. And I've pretty much just been staying here because it's my mother's house. I was under the impression that my brother gifted it to me. Not only that, before my mother passed away, she told me she wanted me to have the house. I did not tell my brother that, and she did not put it in writing. So the reason I don't tell my brother that is because I don't want him to feel bad about this. And there's a lot of people out there saying you should sue your brother, you should take him for everything he's worth, you should do all these horrible things. Well, I don't want to do that to my brother, and I'm not going to do that. So whenever life hits me hard like this, I accept it and I get through it with dignity and grace. And I think that that is something that a lot of people overlook in this day and age, is that when life hits you, you shouldn't just go out all hard and turn into like a rigid, horrible person when something bad happens in your life. You really should take it with dignity and grace. And my brother, when it comes to my brother, I love my brother very much. He is extremely out of touch with a lot of things. He does not understand what it's like to be poor anymore. He makes 6 figures. He lives in an executive home. He has a girlfriend/wife-ish person that makes close to 6 figures. They're probably bringing in $250,000 a year, and he's broke. I think that a large reason that he's doing this is because he has no money. He's so heavily in debt, and he doesn't talk about it with me because he doesn't feel that it's appropriate. But I think that this is his SHTF, and this is mine too. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed at how this is all unfolded. And, you know, I don't want to have anger. I don't want to carry that with me, ever. And if it takes me leaving the state for my brother to have his happiness, I'll do it. And, you know, there's not really a whole lot to say. If, you know, one of my videos, that some of the comments were just crazy. Don't bring your left-wing liberal politics over to my state. Makes you sound ignorant and just crazy. I'm not a liberal just because I live in California, okay? Just because you live in San Francisco, just because you live in Los Angeles, and those are blue areas, it does not mean that you are a liberal just because you live there. My neighbor across the street right now is selling her house. It is listed at $750,000. It's the same exact house as this one. I've been in it many times. She's a 27-year-old millennial, and she says that the upkeep of the house is too much for her. You guys have seen my backyard. It's the biggest backyard in, I think, my city, pretty much. Her backyard is maybe 20 feet by 10 feet of grass, and that's it. And she thinks it's too much upkeep. She's 27 years old, so what are you gonna do? But her house is decorated and designed a lot nicer than mine. Mine's kind of outdated, and I don't think it'll go for $750, but I think we can get $720 for it. It's in extremely good condition. You know, everything's great. The only thing it doesn't have is an air conditioner, which ironically I was going to get very soon. So anyway, the foreclosure property that I'm purchasing is $114,000. The reason that it didn't sell at auction. It was bank owned. It was a foreclosure, and nobody wanted it because of the septic. Well, before I even put a bid on the house, I had a guy go out there and give me a bid on fixing the septic. $7,800. Okay, so the house is $115,000. The septic is $7,800, and it is hideous on the inside. I'll make a video the next time I go down there, but it is just ugly. I mean, I'm telling you guys, it is ugly. It needs a lot of work. But I'm up to the challenge. I like doing that sort of thing. I can make it into my own home. But the thing is that once all of the improvements are done, the house will be valued at $250,000. So the way I figure it, I'm going to buy it for $115,000. Okay, I'm probably going to have to put $40,000 to $50,000 into it. So all in, you're looking at $165,000, but it's going to be worth $250,000. And a lot of people are saying, well, what about your garden? You need water. Well, it's on a well. I'm about 1/8 of a mile to the Colorado River. My house will back up to BLM land, which is Bureau of Land Management, which means nobody's ever going to build on it. It's 4 blocks away from a major highway. It's less than a mile from a Walmart and a Target, and it's only 15 miles to the nearest hospital with an emergency room. Those are all of my requirements for a home. And a lot of you don't know this, but as a teenager, I spent a lot of summers in Ohio with my father, but on the 4th of July of every year, I would go to Bill and Becky's cabin in Darwin, California, which is one of the hottest places on earth. And they didn't have an air conditioner. It was 120 degrees every day, and I did just fine. I did absolutely fine. And I've gone there in my adult years, same thing, done just fine. Now here is the funny thing. 2 things. If you've ever seen No Man's Land on TMC, watch the 1st and 2nd episode, and you're going to see a guy named Rick Gibson and another guy named Bill Bruce. Well, those are my buddies. Those are my guys. I hang out with them all the time, and we talk on email. We talk all the time. So those are my buddies. But I would stay at this cabin in Darwin, who is owned by my mom's best friends. They're my second parents. They're my second set of parents. Both of my parents have passed away. And the place that I'm buying looks just like their cabin in Darwin. So I feel like this has been my home my entire life. So I'm moving from home to my other home, if that makes sense. So my home in Darwin will now be my home in Mojave Valley. It looks just like it, and it's funny. The house I'm looking at, 5-bed, 2-bath on 1.2 acres, backs up to BLM land. It's considered agricultural. I can, if I want, but I don't want to, I can get horses, pigs, goats, donkeys, burros, chickens, whatever I want and however many I want. And because I'm on over an acre, I can also build a total of 4 houses on my property. So I can put 3 more houses on my property if I want. Again, not something I want to do. I'm going to be doing Airbnb. I'm going to be, there's one room in the house that has its own separate door that goes to the outside and its own bathroom. So I'm going to go in there, I'm going to fix up the bathroom, paint it real nice, and put a little sitting area out there for people. And I'm going to do Airbnb, and hopefully, I will be able to make a living off of YouTube and doing Airbnb without the requirement of getting a job. Now, here's the thing. The Airbnb will also be for RVs, but here's the other thing is that because I will be somewhat isolated, I want a job. I want to work. It's something where I think that in order for your brain to oh, that's going to come out great. In order for your brain to function correctly, there has to be some socialization in your life, and that's going to be really important to me. Right, mister? Yes. We went out to look at the property a couple weeks ago. Rocky did really good in the car. It was a full 8-hour drive. Every time we stopped at a gas station, I'd let him out and go potty, and he did really good. And then he's been really cuddly ever since. I told you guys he's a Florida Hurricane Rescue. His original owners had him for 1.5 years and gave him up. I think that every time we go somewhere, he thinks I'm going to just drop him off and leave him. So then he gets really cuddly afterwards. So he's been Mr. Cuddlebugs. But I am bringing my preps with me, and a lot of people are asking if I'm going to quit prepping. Well, again, this is my SHTF, okay? This is my personal one. It's not a natural disaster. It's not a pandemic. It's not an economic collapse, all right? The timing is right. The timing feels good. And I'm taking all of my prepping supplies with me. They're pretty much the only thing I have that has any monetary value. But I'm also going to be cooking on all of my preps, or cooking on most or some of my preps. It's mostly going to be the prepackaged ones, the pouches, but I'm going to be, we're not going to leave. It wasn't going to be until August that I left. But houses sell best in the first week of May, so I brought it up to my brother. I think that we should sell in the first week of May. So on Thursday, we've got somebody coming out here to look at the house and tell us how we can make it sell better. Curb appeal, paint, carpet, whatever you have that you need, that we might have to invest a little bit in order to get a better return on investment, in order to get a better price for the house. But it looks like I'm probably going to be moving in April or May. And what I'm doing this winter, because I work in a call center in retail, there's always overtime. Like, as much as you want, as much as you can do, there's overtime. And, with my overtime pay, I make around $33 an hour, which is a lot. And where I'm moving to, I'm not going to make that type of money ever again, more than likely. So this winter, I'm going to be doing 60 to 70 hours per week all winter long, all the way through March, April, May, as much as I can possibly do to accumulate as much as I can. When it came to the foreclosure and getting a loan, Dave Ramsey says manual underwriting, and it's funny that I do have to go through manual underwriting because I have no debt. People don't understand. And it was really, really hard for me to get a loan. I went through, I think, 12 different banks, and nobody would give me a loan because I wanted to borrow so little. The house is $115,000, and I wanted to put everything I had into it, $80,000. So I only wanted to borrow $35,000. And I finally reached this one bank through my real estate agent. And she said they've never turned anyone down. So I went and talked to them. It's a really high interest rate, but they said, can you borrow a little bit more instead of just $35,000? And I was like, okay, what about $65,000? And they said, okay, we can work with that. The other banks didn't even give me an option. So I'm putting 55 down, and 55 and 60, and I'm borrowing 60. And the mortgage, interest, and insurance all comes out to less. It's like $650 a month, like all of it combined, which is hilarious. But also I'll have, I'm going to be putting $7,800 into the septic and making small repairs before I do my full move-in. But it's funny that extra spare money is still going to be my 1 year of living expenses, as well as making required improvements to the house. It doesn't have to be beautiful at first, but I do have to make it usable. I have to have, septic, I have to have water, and I have to have electric. I don't know if the well works properly, but I've got a guy who's going to go and inspect it. But the guy who looked at the septic, he said, I'm not a well guy, but it looks good. But I don't know anything about wells. I know a guy, stuff like that. And the electric, I'm very confident works perfectly, even though I didn't have that during the inspection. Because the house has a brand new ceiling fans and brand new lighting fixtures. So you could tell that, like, the people who lived there before were obviously using electricity. And even if I don't have it right away and I have to call an electrician, I've got my Kodiak to get me through, my Kodiak and my Sun oven. So I can do my cooking with my Sun oven, and I can do my electricity with the Kodiak. And, you know, I'm going through all these different things in my mind, and believe me, I have thought about other states always, but I need a home base. I need a place to call home. I need a place that feels like home for my own personal security. And this new place, as soon as I walked in to do the tour, it felt like home. It felt like it was mine. It felt like it should be mine. And it's also my mother's dream home. And my dream home. We always had dreams of moving on to a ranch on just like an acre or two, you know, right in the desert, and she always talked about that. And so it's her dream and my dream home coming true. I apologize if I'm rambling here, but there were just so many comments and questions that have come up. And yes, I will be moving alone. Molly will not be coming with me, more than likely. Rocky's coming with me. The chickens, I'm trying to find a home for them right now. Molly is doing a little bit of research and helping with that because they were technically her chickens, and she thinks that she found a place in Vacaville that will take them and they'll be happy. So she's going to be making those arrangements hopefully as soon as possible because I have so much work. I've been just going through everything, throwing things away, you know, stuff that I don't use, and, you know, going through everything, trying to figure out what I should and should not take with me. So, you know, I apologize. You know, a lot of people tell me I need to smile more. I'm not really a smiley person. I'm just being open and honest with you guys. This is like pretty much one of my most heartfelt, you know, videos that I'm making. And you know, there comes a time where preppers look at a person like me and they say, no, you have to be tough. You have to fight. You have to do this. There comes a time in life where you're done fighting. Like, I'm done fighting. I'm done being aggressive. I don't want to fight anymore. You know, and money is not worth fighting for to me. You know, it's not worth losing a relationship with my brother for. It's not worth losing family for. And there are so many people out there who were telling me their horror stories about how they lost their entire family because of an inheritance. And I refuse to lose my family. So I'm hoping that this winter is going to be a profitable one. Please, if you are interested in prepper food, if you're interested in the t-shirt, prepperprincess.com. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. I'm only 1,500 away from 100,000 subs, so let's do this thing. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out. One more thing I forgot to mention. Yes, I will be growing a huge garden. People think that you can't grow a garden in the desert, and that's totally not true. I've been doing a lot of research. It's just a matter of what you plant. So instead of cherry trees, I'm going to have date palms. Instead of aloe vera, I'm going to have yucca plants. Instead of vegetables, I'm probably going to do potatoes. So I will have to bring in wood chips by the truckload, but yes, I will be turning it into a forest of food in my backyard on my 1.2 acres. So don't forget to stay tuned for that in the future. But yes, I will be gardening. That's all.